So some of you might be wondering, why the hell am I reviewing a pair of old headphones from a couple of years back, the Marshall Major 2? But the answer is pretty simple. If you buy these second-hand, or even if you buy them brand new, the price they're going for, which is about, I think, 50 to 60 Singapore dollars or 40 USD, which is what I've seen it going for, is actually extremely reasonable for a pair of headphones that cost about 90 bucks brand new a couple of years back. So at that price point, it could provide a very good value for money option for a lot of people, especially for people who like this kind of look. So is it worth it even in 2020? Now, before we start off with the review, as always, I have to start by saying this. If you have any questions you want to ask away, down linked in the description below. The best way to reach me is on Discord or Instagram, all in the description. And if you want to be featured in the next video at the end, put a comment. I'll probably respond to it at the end of the next video. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, I just want to have more interaction with my viewers to create some sort of community. Let's start off with the review. And as always, we start off with the design. I love the design on the Marshall Major 2s. They're not phenomenal, they're not super loud and vulgar, but they are quite subdued, and then they really balance the retro steampunk aesthetic that they're going for with, you know, with taste and class. Sure, it isn't like a simple professional looking headphone, but it does look, you know, kind of music-y and retro and analog, and I think some people will like that. While it does do that aesthetic, it doesn't really scream that. There are some gold accents here and there, but they're mostly minimal, and the Marshall logo isn't massive, and the fake pleather isn't really obvious. So if you are not a total fan of this design, it should be fine. It's still quite subdued. I frankly think it's alright. In terms of build quality, I absolutely think it is pretty good for the price. It's not super well built or anything. The whole thing isn't like made of metal and wood and stuff, but the parts that you touch, they're pretty nice. They're covered in pleather, or they're covered in metal, or reasonably nice feeling plastics. They don't feel cheap, but they also don't feel super premium either. So build quality wise, I think it's gonna stand a pretty good use case. It's gonna last you a pretty long time, but just don't throw them around and stuff. Take care of them a little bit. You should be. In terms of comfort, these are frankly quite alright. They aren't amazing though, because they're on-ear earphones and I have quite big ears, so they're not the most comfortable. But if you are okay with the on-ear headphone kind of design, in terms of comfort, you should be pretty fine. The clamp force is just right. It's not too tight. It doesn't drop off when you shake your head like this. You could use it for hours. I could foresee myself using it for hours, even though it isn't the most comfortable thing on earth. But you have to be aware that yes, it is pretty comfortable, but the seal isn't great. So if you're expecting very good sound isolation from these, no. If you use them in a library and it's a quiet environment, say at library, at home, in a cafe, or when you put them on because the girl you went on a date with is completely not talking to you, so a very quiet environment, then you know you'll be fine using these. But if you expect them to block out a lot of the noise on the train or a plane, or crying baby because for some reason the airplane put a crying baby the airline put a crying baby like 3 seats down from you, then be prepared to crank your volume up, because these don't have great isolation. So expect to have a lot of sound from the outside coming in and distracting you and being irritating. So not great isolation, but pretty comfortable on the wearing end. Really like the ear pads though, although I wish there could be a bit more travel. They still do feel pretty nice even in a long period of use. Now let's talk about the features that these headphones come with. These are a pair of wired headphones, so they don't really have a lot of fancy features. They're not like Bluetooth headphones, which you can expect to have a lot of like random, you know, fancy things like touch control. These are simple, and honestly, respect them for that. It comes with a cable, and that cable does have a remote on it that allows you to play pause songs or skip to the next track by pressing it 2 times. It allows you to pick up calls, to put down calls and all that stuff. So it's very nice, I guess, in terms of features. And the cables do have a bit of these spring protectors that prevent you from breaking them easily. Even though I've read some reports that these cables do break quite easily, even though they have all these metal spring strength enforcers. I do like the look of these cables. So they look very nice with that gold tip, and you know, they look really fancy and stuff. They remind me of the Marshall guitar amps and speakers, which I guess that was the intention, but the cables aren't all that impressive. In terms of other features, apart from the cable controls, you do have the ability to plug in the cable on either side of your headset, of your headphones. So basically, if you know, use your phone with your right hand, you can plug the cable in on the right, and if you use your phone on the left hand, you can plug your cable in on the left, and it will work perfectly fine both ways. I have no idea in hell how they did the circuitry for this headphone. This is a very convenient feature, and I think it's pretty awesome to have. We've talked about design, which I like. We talked about comfort, which these do pretty well, and we've talked about those little features and little things. Let's talk about sound, because these are headphones, and that's probably the most important thing. How do they sound? Well, they sound like this. Okay, no, they don't sound like that. But how do they sound? Well, I think the best way to describe how they sound is not amazing, but average. Yeah. So for fashion headphones, they definitely don't sound bad. So fashion headphones are usually what people call headphones that are more of a fashion accessory than a music enjoying device. So we're talking about Beats and Skull Candy, and most people consider Marshall headphones fashion headphones. For fashion headphones, they really don't sound that bad at all. They have pretty well balanced sound, although a bit more biased to the low end. They have pretty good amount of detail. It's a pretty reasonable amount of detail. The vocals do stand out, so pretty nice on these. They don't have really boomy bass, and they don't really have very detailed bass, but the reality of it is, for a pair of fashion headphones, they sound pretty okay. But if you are looking for pure sound quality, there are definitely better options out there at this price. And yes, those headphones might not look as good or might not have as much portability, but if you're looking for close back headphones and if you just wanted pure sound quality, there are other options out there as opposed to the Marshall Major 2. Things like the M40X, you can get a good pair of those second hand for a really cheap price, and those sound excellent. Things like that, or the Techstar Pro 80s, or the I think the Brainwaves HM5 can be found for quite cheap nowadays. These headphones are all really good sounding headphones with their unique sound signatures that are gonna give way better sound than a pair of headphones like these. So in terms of sound, not super impressive. Like, the soundstage isn't that good, it's not expensive, it's quite narrow. The stereo separation isn't phenomenal, so if you use these for gaming, all that stuff. Consider the fact that these headphones are portable, they are easy to use, they look pretty good, then maybe you can discount the fact that it doesn't sound as good as some of the alternatives you can get for about $50. So it's a pro and con kind of decision, as always with every single tech purchase. So I guess we've talked about all we need to talk about. Are these worth it? I think a large part of the appeal of these headphones are the aesthetic. I think a lot of people who buy Marshall Major 2s or Marshall Major 3s, the new ones, they only buy these headphones because they look good and they sound pretty decent. And that's fine, frankly. If you are someone who needs a pair of fashion headphones, if you are someone who cares a lot about the aesthetic of their headphones, if you're someone who cares about how their headphones look, these are pretty good headphones. And you have to consider the fact that these are very portable, because I forgot to talk about how they fold up like this. You have to consider the fact that these are portable, easy to live with, easy to wear, comfortable. They get the basics right, they're convenient and sound alright, and at the same time they look great. So if you are someone who likes the look of this device, you won't regret the sound of it. They're not going to be the best sound you ever hear, but they're not going to be bad at all. You're still going to enjoy whatever pop rock songs that you're listening to, or hip hop or whatever, but they're going to not be the best if you're just looking for sound. So if you're someone who is an audiophile or budget audiophile, or just someone who really wants a pair of headphones that can bring out the life in their music, there are definitely better choices than the Marshall Major 2 in 2020, especially on the used market. Things like the M40X go for really cheap. Don't buy the M50X. Seriously, don't buy the M40X. I can tell you why, but 100 other people can tell you why on the internet. Just don't buy the M50X. The M40X is excellent for this price, especially if you're willing to buy secondhand. The M40X is available for very cheap. Things like the Techstar Pro 80, excellent pair of close back headphones. They sound really, really good. There are many cheap, viable alternatives out there to these headphones. So if you're just looking for pure sound quality, you can look elsewhere. But these have the advantage that they look good, they're compact, they're portable, they fold up like that. So it's a pro and a con. What do you actually need in your headphones? Once you've decided that, you can decide whether you want the Marshall Major 2. Anyway, for a pair of fashion headphones, these are pretty good sounding, honestly. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you guys found it helpful or you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. You know the drill with YouTube. You know the drill with YouTube. Like, subscribe. That's all you gotta do. It's all you gotta do, and it makes me really happy. It makes my channel grow, and maybe one day I can feed my family and my cat with... My cat is my family. I can feed my cat with the money I make from YouTube. But right now I make literally no money from YouTube. But I want to build a channel that hopefully can become some sort of career or some sort of stepping point for my future. So please support this channel, like and subscribe. You know the YouTube drill. And before I end this video completely, I'm going to read some comments from the last few days since the last video, as I promised in the last video. So I'm going to hop into YouTube Studio right now and I'm going to read some damn comments. Okay, comment. So Bottom Train says, great video, just bought a pair and love them on my Black Dot Touch Pro review. Thanks. Good to know that my review wasn't misleading or wrong in any way, and that you actually enjoy a pair of earphones that I recommended. So good job. me, I guess. Thanks also for your support, Bottom Train. Aryan Padmana Ban, I don't know how to read your name. Can I use this for your barium hydroxide says, what the hell are the texts? Stop it. On the Black Dot Touch Pro unboxing, so the really old video, I've stopped it. In the new videos, you should check out my new videos. I've stopped it. What other comments do I have? Sad, what a letdown. I was looking forward to this mouse, but the sensor is just not good. It spins out. Again, what could have been a decent mouse with a better sensor. So the Corsair Harpoon. This is the Corsair Harpoon unboxing. This is like a really old video, but someone commented on it and I replied to it. Yeah, the Corsair Harpoon. I never got around to reviewing because I hated the mouse so much. I lost it in like 3 days and I never seen that mouse ever since then. And I wish I know where that mouse is. The mouse is bad. Don't buy it. Just buy a G102 if you're looking for a cheap mouse. Okay, so those are some comments that I've gotten in the past few days. Once again, if you want to be featured in the next video, comment on this video and I will reply to all those comments in the next video. But if you want to reach me quickly, Discord, Instagram, link in the description. I'm gonna head out. See you soon. Bye.